Welcome to the Emporium Outdoors, and today we're going to be installing the Haloview RV camera system. So as you might know, I recently picked up a travel trailer, a toy hauler version, and one of the things I wanted to install was a camera system. So thankfully my travel trailer is pre-wired for the Furrion system. So I decided to go with the BT-7 Haloview, which you can see here, and I also picked up the side cameras as well, which connect to the left and right. So in total, I'll have 3 cameras connected to my travel trailer. So I did reach out to Haloview to see if they would collaborate on a video with me, and they did send me out the rear camera and the display, but I did pick up the side cameras from my own budget. So before we get started with the install, I'll just run over a few topics on why I chose this particular camera system as opposed to, say, the Furrion, and why I wanted a camera system in general. So I think first off, I think all travel trailers, RVs, whatever, should come with a camera system. It's mandatory now for all vehicles sold in North America and Europe to have backup cameras, and I think it's made a huge difference for safety. Having a backup camera on such a big thing like an RV, especially when you're going into RV parks and other places, you've got lots of kids running around, you've got bikes, you've got people. Having a camera, I think, should be mandatory, and they should be fitted from the factory. Like I say, mine's pre-wired, but it wasn't actually fitted from factory. So a bit of information about the BT-7 system. This can be installed on units up to 65 feet long. My trailer is about 27 feet, so I should be good to go. The manufacturer says the signal will propagate over 984 feet in wide open spaces. So you could theoretically take the monitor with you, go somewhere else, take it in the house as long as you're within range, and you can monitor the cameras if you've got power to the trailer, etc. So the Haloview BT-7 also has a very bright screen, and it's also 1080p. The BT-7 also allows you to record events, just in case you want to have that facility. If something happens, for instance, you can take a record of it and use it for whatever purpose, insurance or whatever you like. So they also say it has full color night view as well, which is going to be very good to test that out, and low light performance, which is a very good use because normally when you come into a campsite, it might be late in the evening. So having that function is going to be awesome. The BT-7 also has overlay lines that you can program into it, so you can see roughly where you're going to be ending up, and you can alter those to adjust them to your trailer exactly. So the other big thing is having the audio facility. There is a mic built into the rear camera, so if my wife's at the back and she's screaming at me to stop or turn a specific way, I can hear her, I can get that feedback in the cab. It's going to make my life so much easier. Again, if I do catch something like a tree branch, I'm probably going to hear it, and that's going to want me to slow down or stop, and it's an extra safety feature. Brilliant idea. I think all cameras should have it as well. So what I'm going to do is lay out all the parts that you get in the box and kind of go through them briefly. It is a bit confusing because there are lots of nuts and bolts and things, but I'll show you exactly what each one does and which ones are important to you. So in the BT-7 box, you're going to get the following. So you're going to get 2 user manuals, one for the BTC129, which is the camera, and the BT-7 is going to be the display itself. So with the camera, you're going to get a rubber gasket, a back plate, and on the rear, you've got the power cable right here. You can get some hardware for screwing in the camera, and a couple of machine screws and nuts as well. There's some thumb screws that you can use as well for attaching the camera. This is the back plate. This is for mounting the BT-7 to a flat surface. So this has this little T-slot type of function, which if you look at the back, there's actually a T-slot right there, and also 1/4-20. This is a unfinished cable, so this is power, but you can just tie these ends into a power supply if you're wired into existing cabling. This is the interface cable that plugs into the BT-7. You can see by those lots of pins, plus that normal connector right there. This is the pairing cable. So basically this is a power splitter. You're going to use this for setting up the BT-7 initially with the camera, so you can have both things powered up close by, and you can make sure they're paired up and working. There is a 12-volt cigarette lighter power, which is probably what I'm going to use in the cab. So again, it's just a standard power outlet. Now this cable is the cable that connects to the Furion power supply using this 3.5mm jack type of setup. Looks like a TRS type of interface, and it connects to the power cable right here. So these things are going to go together, but we'll come back to that. And this looks like there's a couple of crimp connectors. So just two pieces I want to add in. This is the bracket for the bottom, if you're going to mount it through a screw, for instance, and have the display mounted that way. And this is the sunshade, and this is where those two thumb screws go. So that's everything you get in that one particular kit. So the provided mount that they give you is actually pretty good. If you were putting the monitor on a flat surface on the dash, for instance, you can just slide that guy right in there, tighten her up, to whatever size you want, and that will sit like so on your dash or wherever you find a comfortable place for it. So what I'm going to do with my setup is I use ram mounts. So I have a 1-inch ball on a short, I think it's like a 3-inch arm. I'm just going to use that 1/4 on the bottom, and then I already have a 1-inch ball mounted in my truck, so I can then just adjust this however I wish, and it's going to be simple. I did notice on the website, and I'll put a link, that they do sell a ram mount setup with the little T-slot type of setup as well. And if I had more time, I would have probably gone with that rather than screwing to the back, because it does give you some vertical adjustment in this slot. So I think that's a better solution. Like I say, I'll leave the part number up there, so if you do the same job and you want to use ram mounts, then it'll be nice and easy for you. So before we get too carried away, let's get the system tested. So I'm going to take the per cable, I'm going to take the power adapter cable. This does have a flat spot, a key, sorry. Make sure the key lines up. And we're going to plug that into 1/2 of the splitter. And take the camera cable. Plug that into the bottom of the camera. Then we're going to take our little bluetti. Give some DC power. Connect both units together, and now I'm just going to fire up the power. See, the camera's lit. See, there we go. It's paired. I can hear the audio. Easy as that. So we can confirm everything's working. I do still have the cover on the screen. I'll leave that on until it's installed. And we'll go through the menu system once it's set up. But I've confirmed the camera's paired up and we're ready to go. So got my new patio set that I just put in last week, all opened up, and let's take a look at what we got. So this is the standard Furion mount right here, and that's where we're going to be taking this off. Looks like it's 4 screws, and we'll have a look and see what's underneath that. So we have it all tied up. I just ran a bit of acetone on a rag over the top, and that cleaned it off perfectly. So next I'm gonna plug in the cables, and then should be able to mount this to the back. So just got my gasket to go on and this little cover. So I'm just going to put the small screws in the back here. So you should look something like that when you're done. Okay, now I have the gasket. It's going to go on the back. So I'm going to take the cheater cable. So just have a lock on the cable. So push and twist. So the cable can't come undone while it's inside the trailer. Okay, so this is what we're looking at now. So I've got my cable coming out, the gasket's gone, got my cheater cable, and it's going to be routed inside. So I think we're ready to start screwing it up. I think I'm going to use the old screws because they're black, but they do supply new screws. And do the last part of the tightening by hand, make sure everything's good. And I think I'm happy with that. The last job is put the aerial on. Okay, how's that look? Okay, I've got a spot up here for the 12 volt. I'm just going to use that for the moment. And I'll deal with all the cables afterwards, but just for initial testing, I think that will work. So there we have it. I just had to put the auxiliary lights on. But that looks pretty good. Okay, so we got it up and running and it just connected no problem. I had to put the lights on so that the power from the 7-way trailer cable powers the unit itself. I can hear the audio, which is perfect. Do have to sort out these wires, which I'll take care of. And I need to center up these lines as well. So let's go into the menu. And we're going to go into park lines. Oops. Park lines. Let's go to park lines, okay. We're going to adjust them. So we're going to move them so they're centered. I think that looks pretty good. Okay, back to the menu. And do we have it the right orientation? So it's back to front, upside down. Perfect. This is the record function. So we'll kind of go through the menu a little bit more later on, but from here you should be able to select the different cameras. For instance, so you've got all your different splits, depending on how many cameras you've got. So I think we are good to move on to stage 2, which is to put in the side cameras. Very excited to get that done. Okay, we are on the home stretch now, so we've just got the side marker cameras to put in. So haven't opened this box yet, so this is going to be interesting for both of us. Okay, little plug connectors. The 2 cameras, some screws. And 2 aerials. So quick look what we get in the box. We get 2 cameras, 2 aerials, set of crimp connectors, screws, manual, and this little block connector for something. I think that's probably just to set it up for testing, I would think. So I think we should probably go and do that first. Maybe get these things fired up in the cab, make sure that they're working. Okay, so I'm gonna get one of these cameras ready. So we've just got our plug connected like so. It's got our camera. To disconnect the power here. Add the power here. Add the power here. And plug in the source. And we should have. So press the power button, which is on the side here. Would you look at that? Easy as that. Okay, so in the menu again, go into pairing, select, press the button on the side. There we go. Perfect, easy. Okay, let's power that down. And let's throw these on the trailer. Okay, so we can just gonna check which way around these are. So white is ground. Okay, so when you're testing these connections, give them a good tug, because if you can pull them out, they're going to come out later on. So let's pop these in. Good. Good. Come. Looks factory to me. Okay, looking good. Source 2. Okay, that's the other side, so we need to adjust that one. So I did run into a couple of problems assigning the correct channel to the correct camera, and that was probably me not reading the manual. So what I figured out is you have to pre-select the channel that you want to assign the camera to first on the display, and then go out and press the connect button on each of the cameras, and then it assigns it to the right channel. What I was doing is overwriting each channel. Each time I pressed the camera, it would replace the previous camera. And once I figured that out, it was pretty straightforward, and I got it all set up. After I got through that little hiccup, everything worked as it should, and it was very simple. Okay, so we got it all figured out. So we've got left, right, rear. and we can cycle from left to right to rear, and then it will go to the multi-view. So we're all done. So I'm very happy with the product. Seems to work great. I did run into a little bit of problem understanding how to assign the channels, but I kept losing a camera and I was like, what? Why is that gone? But now I've got the other camera. So other than that, couldn't be a more straightforward installation. Very happy with the quality, simplicity. I think you just need some basic tools to do this. You don't have to be any sort of a brain surgeon or anything like that. So overall, I think it's going to be great. I think it's a huge safety feature and I can't wait to use it on the road and test it out fully. But that's the end of the install. So I think it's time to go for the road test shortly. Okay, so we've been using the Haloview for about a week now. We've been towing and moving around with it, and it's actually exceeded my expectations on how useful it's become. I'll show you how I have mine set up for towing. So I'll just show you the screen. That's my kind of default screen. So I have my left and my right cameras displayed at the moment, and I can just cycle through. So if I know I'm always going to be in the right hand lane and I need a bigger picture of the left hand side, I can do that very easily. This is a great way to see what's coming down the side, and also gives me a lot of view on my blind spot, which even towing mirrors don't really give you that very well. I can then switch to the other side if I'm maneuvering, for instance. Very useful view. And then I can also see exactly what's behind the trailer. This is obviously used for backups when you're parking the trailer to make sure you're not going to hit anything. And then back to my default view, which is my left and right, which I normally keep it in. So overall, I've found the camera system very reliable. It's been very easy to use, and it's allowed me to actually travel safely on the road. Like I say, I think all trailers should come with this as standard. I think it is a necessary safety feature that is fitted to vehicles now, and I think it really should be fitted to travel trailers, etc. I'm very pleased with it, highly recommend it. So the installation is very straightforward. You just need some basic tools and you can get this camera system set up. The camera mount I would maybe change. That's my kind of home version. I would buy the Haloview version if you're going to use a ball mount. It actually brings the screen down slightly. So let me know in the comments if you have any questions or you'd like to know more about the system, and I'll be happy to answer it there. So until next time, take care. And as always, thank you very much for watching. If you like my videos, leave me a comment, maybe a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe.